Good morning, guys, or good afternoon, whether you're joining me from the present or the future. Welcome back to another FutureFight Vanguard video. Welcome back to the Corona catch-up as we are quarantined with COVID-19, aka coronavirus. We're doing catch-up on our videos here. Today we're going to be continuing on with the Infinideity Cradle V-BT07. This is our set with Genesis, Nubatama, Nova Grappler, and Angel Feather. So today we're going to be doing the Angel Feather part of the FutureFight for this set. But we're going to get right into it without any further delay. If you guys haven't already, be sure to leave a like on the video, comment down below letting me know your thoughts on the build or your thoughts on your own build so that you can help out other people, because after all, the point of this series is to get people familiar with a deck that comes out in a set. Also, be sure to check out my second channel if you guys are interested in anime, animations, or video games. We've been streaming over there every day as far as an anime reaction. So if you guys are interested in either of those, head on over there. And last but not least, certainly not least, I now have channel memberships on the channel. There's a join button either on my main channel page or under in the description below somewhere for you guys to check out. This is if you're interested in supporting the channel a little bit more. If you don't, nothing will change for you, but if you do, it is greatly appreciated, and there are rewards for you to check out as well. But yeah, be sure to check all that out, and let's get right into the FutureFight for the day. So like I said, we're going to be talking about V-BT07 Angel Feather. No new mechanics really to be mentioned, unlike our last video, which was Genesis. So we're just going to be talking about regular Angel Feather. Their mechanic is usually to heal the damage and do damage zone mechanics and play with the damage zone, stuff like that. This is kind of like a newer mechanic in the form of we're putting a lot of our opponent's stuff to their damage zone and they're able to heal out cards, but this is essentially adding control to the Angel Feather deck in their own special way. So let's start talking about the units. So we have our new VR that came out of the set, which is Cosmo Healer Ergodial. So we run Ergodial at 4. It has 2 Vanguard abilities. The first one is when it's placed on Vanguard Circle, Counterblast 1, or you may choose to Counterblast 1, and then you can choose up to 2 from all rear guards, either yours or your opponent's, and put them into the damage zone. And if 1 or more cards were put into the damage zone, this unit gets +1 critical. And then you and your opponent heal cards equal to the amount of cards put into your damage zone with this effect. So you can either, you have a couple options. So you can Counterblast 1, put 2 of your units into your damage zone, heal 2, which effectively is like a counter charge 2 for you. However, you're negging 2 units on the board, so not really worth it. I wouldn't do that ever. You can either also put 1 of your rear guards and 1 of your opponent's rear guards into the damage zone. Good for counter charging, like I said before, and making sure that you're not really paying the Counterblast 1 for Ergodial. But my favorite use of it is to just get rid of 2 of my opponent's rear guards. However, your opponent does get the counter charge 2 in the form of they get to put 2 of their rear guards face up into damage zone, and then they can like heal off the counterblasted damage. So really be careful about what decks you're giving counterblast and for what they can use it for, especially if they're all out of counterblast at the moment and they're at like 5 damage or something like that. You could open up a play that normally wouldn't have killed you before. Then its second ability on Vanguard Circle is when it attacks, this unit gets plus 5,000 power into the end of the battle for each face-up card in your opponent's damage zone. So this actually punishes your opponent for healing the quote-unquote correct way off the first skill. So the more cards they have face-up, the bigger this card is going to be with a crit. However, it makes them want to heal off their rear guards basically, because they don't want to use their counterblasted damage, because if they do, this is going to be smaller. So basically, you know, the first and second skill work hand in hand, and it's a great like deterrent to try to prevent your opponent from just getting out the easy way with the choice. So then our next grade 3 in the deck, we run 4 Crimson Impact Metatron. Metatron has 2 Vanguard skills as well. You guys should know what this one does because it's a card that's been out for a while. But in case you don't, the first Vanguard skill is when written from a grade 3, meaning when you ride this card over a grade 3, you can Counterblast 2, choose a card from your damage zone, and call it to Rearguard Circle, and this unit gets plus 15k power until the end of the turn. So this card effectively, its first skill allows you to just heal off a unit, but you're not only healing off a unit, but you're also getting getting a +1 to your board in the form of a rear guard. So, and if that rear guard is like really powerful, like, you know, Hygienist Angel or something like that, that's even more of a bonus for you. So we mainly run it for the first skill, but the second skill is very good as well. The second skill is during the main phase, you can put a card from your damage zone on bottom of your deck, and then you deal this unit 1 damage. So you deal yourself a damage check, which essentially makes it so that you have triple drive when you're on this card, 1 check during the main phase and 2 checks during your battle phase when you attack with your Vanguard. So very, very useful. Be sure to use your skills wisely here. Then our last grade 3 in the deck, rounding out to 10 grade 3s, we run 2 Mobile Hospital Feather Palace. So Feather Palace has always been a good finisher for standard Angel Feather, but its Vanguard and Rear Guard effect is when it attacks, you can Soul Blast 2 grade 3s, flip all of the face up cards in your damage zone face down, and then until the end of the battle, this unit gets plus 20k and a critical, and your opponent cannot guard with Sentinels. So between this card and Scalpel Angel or Healthful Intendant as the booster, you can make really big, threatening, game-ending plays with Feather Palace. So be sure to use it correctly, because if not, you'll be turning all your damage face down for, you know, no reason, and that will lock you out of using Metatron's first ability, and definitely Ergodiel's first ability as well if you're at 5 and you cannot heal or something like that. Moving on to our grade 2s, we have 12 grade 2s in the deck. We have 4 Rear Impetuous Celestial Armighty. Armighty skill is on Vanguard or Rear Guard when placed from hand, Soul Blast 1, and then call a card from your damage zone to Rear Guard circle, and place the top card of your deck into your damage zone. So it's +1 for Soul Blast 1. Very, very good card. This is obviously our preferred ride of the deck. Moving on, we have 4 Freezing Grantor. This is our second backup ride for the deck, because we'd rather this card be on Rear Guard, but it can go on Vanguard if you really need it to. But its first ability is Vanguard Rear Guard when placed from hand, Soul Blast 1. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards and put it into the damage zone, and then your opponent chooses a card from their damage and heals it. So you also have cards in this deck that are based off of if your opponent put a card into their damage zone this turn, such as Healthful Intendant. So Freezing Grantor helps with that if you are on like a Metatron turn instead of Ergodiel. You didn't get to use something like Ergodiel this turn, so instead you use Metatron and like Freezing Grantor to get the skill active without having to deal them a damage. This especially helps if they're at 5, because it's the only way to deal them a damage, quote unquote, without killing them. Then the second ability of Freezing Grantor is literally the exact same as Ergodiel. When it attacks and it's on Rear Guard circle, counter boss 1, this unit gets plus 5,000 power for each face-up card in your opponent's damage zone. So again, another card that punishes them for healing off their counterblasted damage. Then we have 4 Hygienist Angel, pretty simplistic card. It's a 7k grade 2 that has a continuous ability that says this card gets plus 5,000 for each card in your damage zone. So obviously the more damage you take, the later in the game it will be, the stronger this card will be, and it is continuous on both your and your opponent's turn, meaning that your opponent can't just attack into this to get rid of it, because most of the time it will be like 27 or 32, or at the very least 22, so it's very easy to block for it if your opponent can even reach the threshold to hit it. Then we run, going into our grade 1s, we run 12 grade 1s, I believe. We run 4 Healthful Intendant. Healthful Intendant is our main Vanguard ride. Its first skill is when rode upon, so when you ride a grade 2 over this card, you can put this card into your damage zone face down and call any card from your damage zone to Rear Guard. I usually just end up calling out Healthful Intendant herself, just so that I don't have to call out, you know, just so that I don't have to counterblast for no reason. Because essentially what this skill turns into is counterblast to call a card if you are not calling Healthful Intendant herself. Then its secondary rear guard ability is a continuous that says if a new card was put into your opponent's damage zone this turn, this unit gets plus 5,000 power. So the skill that I just mentioned that is really good with Freezing Grantor, Ergodiel, or dealing a damage to your opponent in that turn. Next, we run 4 Scalpel Angel. Scalpel Angel has a really good ability as well. It says continuous when it's on Rear Guard circle. If your damage zone has 3 or more cards, which is not really much of a requirement, this unit gains intercept and plus 5,000 power. So it becomes a 13k attacker that can also intercept for 10k. So very, very good to have these in your front row in the mid to late game. Very, very solid. Then we have we only run 11 grade 1s. So we have 3 Underlay Celestial Hezadesiel. So Hezadesiel, what it does is when it's placed on Rear Guard circle from hand, you can counterblast 1 and swap a unit card from your hand with a card from your damage zone, which means that you cannot, basically unit card means any card that's in your main deck, basically not like a marker or something like that, so that you wouldn't be able to like just heal off a damage. Because if you were to put a protect marker into your damage zone, it would just fizzle out, and you would get the card from your damage zone, meaning that you would effectively heal one and get a card that you want from your damage zone at the same time, which is what they wanted to avoid. That's why they worded it as putting unit card. But basically, this card allows you to get anything that's useful from your damage zone. Its cost is not even really a cost, because you just counterblast whatever you want to grab, and then you switch them, and then suddenly that counterblast never happened. So a lot of times I use it to grab like my grade 3s like Metatron or Godiel, even if I needed a Feather Palace, you know, just having set up for the great things that lie ahead, or a Hygienist Angel as well. So then for our starter, we run 1 First Aid Celestial Piniel, obviously just one of our starters that allows us to draw a card when we ride over it. And then we have 8 crit, 4 draw, and 4 heal, 4 Pinky Denturist, 2 Critical Hit Angel, 2 Hotshot Celestial Samyaza, and 4 Battle Cupid Nocio, and then also 4 Sunny Smile Angels. So obviously, the preferred gift to go in this deck is Protect 1, in my opinion, just because Protect 2 is not good yet. It won't be good until the next time Angel Feather gets support, which is going to be coming up here very soon. It's like the very next set, so hopefully I'll be caught up on all of the videos by then, so you guys can see that version of the deck too. But this version of the deck will get stronger with some tools from that set as well. It's just up to you how you want to play it. So moving into our games here, we're playing against Royal Paladin for all 3 matches because we were playing against a friend. We go first. We ride Healthful Intendant, which is our preferred Vanguard ride, as you guys can see. Our opponent rides Pongal, attacks us. We no-pass it just to avoid that early damage. We use Healthful Intendant skill. We move into the damage zone and it calls itself to board. We attack for 17. Our opponent no guards. We check. Our opponent damage checks. Our opponent rides Blaster Blade, starts with the Bedivere K combo, also gets another Bedivere, and then calls Pongal. And then I have no idea what my opponent just did there. I was trying to tell my opponent he didn't shuffle, I guess. So he attacks with Blaster Blade but doesn't get a trigger. But we do check a damage trigger. So we ride Metatron, which is not our preferred first ride, of course, but we use the skill to heal off a damage, deal a damage. Or not heal off a damage, deal a damage, but put a card back to our deck, so we put a trigger back. We attack with Freezing Granter for 22, then Vanguard for 25. We do check a draw trigger PG, and then we attack for 45. And you guys can just see like Hygienist Angel just gets so big so quickly, and we're only at 3 damage. So he uses Blaster Blade's ability to get rid of our Hygienist Angel, and then he plays another Blaster Blade to get rid of our Freezing Granter. I guess like his hand sucks, so he doesn't want that pressure of having really big rear guards present. So then we take his remaining 2 attacks. We ride Feather Palace in the hopes that we will get either another grade 3 or another Feather Palace in the following turn. We also needed a Protect 1, so it's better to have a Protect 1 in our hand than a useless Feather Palace, which is why we wrote it. Our opponent guards us for no pass, and then we attack and get a crit, so he blocks that as well. His hand is all grade 3s, so he rides, and then he calls one of his grade 3s. We block his Vanguard for a 2 to pass. He does not get it. We block his Blaster Blade for a 2 to pass, which essentially only adds 1 drive, which is a no pass. And then we block his rear guard. We move our rear guards back, and then we call 2 grade 2s. We get rid of his Blaster Blade, which he heals off. He checks a damage draw, and then we attack for 25. He guards for a 2 to pass, and then we attack for super big 45, and he PGs. He rides Monarch Alfred, and then calls his Blaster Blade to rear guard. He attacks us for 21, which we guard with. We PG the Vanguard, and then we also PG the rear guard Blaster Blade. So we draw, we top deck Feather Palace. However, we don't have 2 grade 3s in Soul because we did use Freezing Granter skill the other turn to get rid of that Blaster Blade. So we attack for 20. He guards us, or he 1 to passes us, but he knows that he can't take the Hygienist Angel attack, so I don't even know why he did that. If anything, he should have just banked on the heal for Vanguard and then just blocked the Hygienist Angel or blocked the Vanguard accordingly, and then no guarded the Hygienist Angel attack. So moving into our next game here, we're going to have Angel Feather Game 2. So we're playing against Royal Paladin again. Like I said, all 3 of these games are against Royal Paladin. And it is the same person. So our opponent goes first this time, rides Pongal, passes the turn. We ride Healthful Intendant. We attack. We don't get a trigger. He hits a critical on rearguard. Our opponent rides Blaster Blade, starts with a Bedivere K combo yet again, and gets an Allen combo this time, putting us to high damage pretty early. However, we do check 2 triggers on our damage, so he's not able to hit with the Bedivere K column, thank goodness, because we don't have to waste any resources for that. And then between our Mighty and Healthful Intendant skill, we're able to call 2 free units, and then we call the rest from our hand. We attack for 22, our opponent PGs it, and then we attack for 35, and our opponent takes it. Our opponent rides Alfred, getting a Blaster Blade from the deck. Blaster Blade uses its ability to snipe off our Hygienist Angel, so he attacks for 23. We guard the Vanguard with a PG, and then our opponent checks double heal, which they don't heal, but you know, obviously the resources is really good for defense and stuff like that. So we use Freezing Granter on the Bedivere so that we could get that out of there. And then our opponent PGs us, and then we attack for, you know, 25. Our opponent from here goes to ride Gancelot, I believe, and puts the Force 2 on the other rear guard, and then he plays K from his hand so they can get Bedivere K combo. We 2 to pass his Vanguard, and he does get the 2 to pass, but he doesn't put it all on his Vanguard, so we're good there. He attacks for 24, we guard, and then we PG his Vanguard, and he's supposed to drive check, so he drive checks a Bedivere. We top deck Ergodiel, putting the front 2 cards of his rear guard circle in the damage zone and healing them out. Then we attack for 35 to our opponent's Vanguard. Our opponent guards for a 2 to pass. We check no triggers, unfortunately, and then we attack for 25. Our opponent plays Allen and goes into Bedivere and then draws a Bedivere, so has double Bedivere K column. Our only chance was to 1 to pass the Vanguard by intercepting and then double PG the rear guards. But when we 1 to pass them, he did get a critical trigger and deal that lethal 6 damage to us for the game. So game 3 here, we are, you know, once again playing against Royal Paladin. I go first once again, so I ride Healthful Intendant. He rides Pongal, deals us the damage. We ride our Mighty. We call out Hygienist Angel, and then we use the skill of our Mighty to call out Healthful Attendant. So something to note about this deck is just like the turn 2 is pretty much always powerful. Like you always have kind of a turn 2 pop off, same as Royal Paladins does as well. So this is actually like a cool matchup because you get to see, you know, high pressure from turn 2. So our opponent attacks, puts us at 3 damage. We are able to get rid of both Bediveres, and we call out a Hesideziel, getting a Metatron to our hand. We attack for 30, then we attack for 35 to crit. We do check a heal, but the heal does not go off because our opponent's at 4 and we're at 3. Our opponent goes next turn and rides Gancelot. Does not go Force 2 this time, which is interesting. But I guess he wants to force more shield. So I no guard, he checks a crit. And then with Vanguard, we block with 5k. We ride Metatron. We counterboss 2 to call out our Mighty. We deal ourselves a damage. And then we just attack for 32. Our opponent guards it. We attack for 35. Our opponent PGs it. And we check double crit and put it all to Hygienist Angel, attacking for 55, which he could not take. And that ended up being the game. But that was the FutureFight Vanguard video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like I said at the very beginning of the video, be sure to follow all those small steps to help us out if you guys are fans of the channel, such as liking the video, commenting down below, letting us know what you thought, sharing the video with your friends, subscribing, checking out our second YouTube channel in the description below, and checking out the channel memberships. But with that being said, this has been Josh from Cardfight Empire, and I'll see you guys on tomorrow's video. Peace.